Hello, welcome to Waypoint Survival. Today let's talk about putting up the best tarp shelter. Stay tuned. So here we are in southern Ohio. It's been a rainy, overcast day and there's some more storms coming in. And so what I want to do for you all today is do a shelter video. And I want to talk about putting up a tarp. Now there's a lot of kinds of shelters, improvised shelters of course, survival shelters. I have a video about that. I could put that up here if you want to watch that one. But anyway, I've got a couple of trees here. And of course my dog Spirit, he's come along with me today for the video. So, but I've got a couple trees here in a cleared area, and this is one of the spaces that I use when I teach my classes and improvise, show how to put together tarp shelters. Now, several years ago, before he became as well known as he is today, Dave Canterbury had a video about a tarp shelter that he called the Versa Shelter. And I fell in love with that design, and I think it's great. I actually prefer it over some of the more modern shelters that other people are using. I'm not trying to cast aspersion on anybody or belittle their shelter methods, but I just think that this way is quicker and easier. And we're going to put it up and we're going to time it and we're going to see how long it takes us to put up a shelter in an emergency situation if that would occur. So we'll get to that right away. So many of you are familiar with this space blanket here type of tarp, and this is actually used by a lot of people. They come in red, orange, and this olive drab color. They're about $20, something like that on Amazon. But and they've got a reflective panel on the inside, and this really holds the body heat in, helps reflect really well. And I've used these, I've slept under them, but they're only 5 by 7, which at its maximum is 35 square feet, so that's not very big. I still prefer using the 6 by 8 tarp from Home Depot, and you can find them, I'm sure, at Home Depot online, but they're only about $8. And so for me, for the price, they're, you know, less than half of the price of one of these. Now they're not as small and compact as you can see. This is pretty small and it is very light, but it also doesn't offer you very much coverage in a storm. And you know, any way you slice this, when you put this up either as an A-frame or even as just a single side shelter, there's just not a huge amount of coverage, especially if there's any kind of blowing wind or in the middle of the night a storm comes up. So this has its place and purpose, and I'm not against using this. If I've got a really small kit, I'll put this in there and take it. I've got no problem with it. And what I like about this one in particular, it's a little bit different than just the plain tarp. What I like about this one is it also has the hood. And so what's great about that is you can actually wear it as a poncho. It has these pockets here for your hands, and what's nice is you can actually stand in front of a fire and it will hold the heat in. So I might do a review just on this, but you can also wrap it around you. It also covers my backpack, and so it's not only something that is great for emergencies to hold your heat in, you can use it as a shelter, but it's also a really good thing as an emergency poncho. So this has a lot of uses, but it's small, and as you can see, I can actually reach clear out to the ends of it. So it's and of course on my head it's only about halfway down to my calves. It's really not that big of a shelter. So the tarp that I'm talking about, I actually have strapped to the bottom of my backpack here, and it's not real big. I'll take that off and I'll show it to you, and then I'll demonstrate. I'll put it next to the other tarp. You can see it is somewhat bigger, but I've got some stuff rolled up in it I want to show you. So here it is, and it's just rolled up. It's got some things inside of it that go with the shelter. And here they are side by side, and you can see this one of course is considerably larger, but this is a 6 by 8 heavy duty tarp, so there's 48 square feet of coverage here as opposed to only 35, and I can carry a lot more stuff rolled up inside of here, which are the tent stakes for the Versa shelter. So I'm going to roll this out on the ground and show you what I carry inside. So inside of this package, and I've just got it tied with just a simple bow knot, and got a piece of paracord with just a simple loop tied in it. Lash it around, tie it to the tag end. Inside here, we roll this out. You adjust the camera, get you a little better look here. So I've got 4 tent pegs inside of just a cheap Ziploc bag. That just holds them together, keeps them from rattling around and losing them. I also have these military tent poles. They're really lightweight. They weigh almost nothing. I'm not sure what kind of wood they're made out of, but they're designed to fit together like this. And so that forms one pole. Now, you don't really have to carry these, and I'll demonstrate another option, but these are great to have. And then I saw on Really Big Monkey's channel one of these right here. It's a windshield screen cover to keep the UV radiation off your dash, but it's really super lightweight and small, and this makes a great ground pad. Of course, it's not full length, but it would be a lot better than nothing in a survival situation. So I threw that in there as well. And then of course here is the tarp. And this is what we're going to talk about putting up. And of course, if I don't have all of this other stuff in here, and we can fold this way, and then just roll it up like this, it makes a pretty small package. Now let's compare it to the emergency space blanket and see how big it is. So here's the space blanket and here's the tarp. So as you can see, without any poles or cordage or anything in this one, this is actually quite small and very compact. So really, size for size, for the extra space that I get underneath this and shelter, in many ways I'd rather carry this than this. But of course, the best option is to carry them together, wrap this up inside of here, then you have something to wrap up in and sleep with, unless you of course want to carry your wool blanket, and that's another part of the Versa shelter if you really want to throw that in there. So the beauty about the Versa shelter is that it uses bungees to attach to the grommets and then to the trees, and you can get these anywhere. These are camouflage. You may want to get a brighter color so you don't run into it, but these are really small and lightweight. These are actually quite thin, and I think this is a great option. So we're going to set it up using these bungees. Then I'm going to show you a slightly different system that I've just recently discovered to go with this Versa shelter. So let's go put that up. Open this up here, and as you can see, this also has a silver reflective inside. And what we do is we find the tarp, not the exact center, because the center would be here, but we have this grommet right here that's the first one back. And what we do is we take one of our bungees and we simply attach it into one of these holes here. It's like this. We go around the tree at maybe not quite waist height, pretty close to it. Hook that one in that side, and we go to the other side. And the bungees, of course, keep it tense and keep that tension on there. And so you don't have to, you don't really have to do a whole lot to put up a ridge line. Now what I usually do is I'll wrap this around. If I have, like where this space is, I'll wrap that in there like that, and then I'll come back over to this side and I'll do the same thing. And what that does is that allows you a lot of options and a lot of length. These are, you can get these in 36 or 48 inch, but just basically pull this tight like so, then go around the tree until you can put some tension on it. You can either put it in the hole or you could just attach it to it like that. And this obviously works quite well. Alright, there we go. A lot of tension, and it's staying up quite nicely. So this is what it looks like on the right side. It's just wrapped around the tree, and the other side, of course, the same way. And this is nice and tight, and that will hold it. And so there's no need for a guy line or a ridge line to hold it up. Next, we just take our bag here with our stakes in it, and we pull this out like this. Put one in the ground there. Come over to this side, do the same thing. Pull it tight, put it in the ground. And we can adjust it as we need it to make it nice and smooth so that it looks good and will shed the water more appropriately. So there you go. This is what it looks like from the back. Just staked into the ground with just some cheap stakes. I picked them up, I think, at Walmart. Just I don't know, less than $1 a piece. Now we've got to set up the front. Setting up the front is very simple, especially if we have our military poles. All we're going to do is take 3 of these, kind of stack them, side each other like this to make one solid pole. Going to grab a length of our bank line here, and you can pre-position this on your tarp if you want, but basically all you need to do, you come up here and we put this stick in there like that. You put it in the hole, and then we just take and make a simple slip knot at the top here. Put that over top of the stake, pull it tight, bring it down to the ground, find out about where we want our tension to be, put this stake in the ground, go around it a few times, and then just tie a couple of half hitches around that. You can even tie a slippery half hitch if you want. There's one side. Now let's go do the other. And there we have it. And these can be adjusted any way we want. We take our windscreen here, we lay it out underneath here, get rid of some of these big walnuts and roots and stobs, and there we go. We have a pretty decent shelter. Alright, so here we go. We've got a great shelter because it's 6 feet by 8 feet, and we've got the length of, course, the 8 foot this way, 6 foot this way. So therefore, I've got extra room I can lay down. And most of my feet, you know, my ankles and calves are sticking out, but the rest of my body is well covered under this shelter. So this is a nice way to sleep. And I've got plenty of coverage. Now, in the middle of the night, let's say a storm is coming in, and you know, I could get wet, or maybe the rain's blowing toward me. All I have to do is I can take these and I can just lower this. Just like this. And then scoot toward the back a little bit more. Move everything in. And now I have an even more effective rain shelter, and can protect me, of course, from the weather. Very easily adjusted, very easy to work with. I really like this shelter configuration. It's light, it's easy to carry, and it's big enough to actually be a shelter if you were in a storm. Now, while I really like the bungee system for holding out either end of the tarp, I like that a lot better than learning this knot and that knot and pulling this and tightening that, and to me it takes up a lot of time. But I found something really neat at Home Depot last night, actually, when I was looking. Night Eyes makes this thing called a cam jam, and basically it's a couple of carabiners, and it has some paracord size cord on here, and it doesn't require any knots. Now, there's no springs on this, but it just comes with 8 foot of cord and these 2 carabiners, and they're about $8 a piece. So you can pick up the tarp and a couple of these carabiners for, say, $24, and that will save you, it's about the same amount of money actually as buying that space blanket, which is 20 bucks plus shipping and handling. So anyway, this is what this is, and if you take it apart, it looks like this. Now, I did buy 2 sets because I'm going to use one on each side, and I'm going to use these to replace the bungees, because these are just infinitely you can tighten them and close them and move them around, whereas the bungees eventually will lose their stretchiness. These, of course, can be replaced with paracord or whatever kind of cord you want. Like I said, you can maybe even make it an orange cord so you don't run into it. So how this works is it's got a little system in here that the cord kind of wraps around in. And so what you can do is you pull this to adjust it, and then if you lock it into this little area here, it just pulls in like this and locks tight. Now you can put all kinds of tension on it and it doesn't move, but you can pull it to adjust it as much as you want. This is a really, really neat system. So let's replace our bungees with this and see how it works. What I really like about this is that there's 8 feet of cord. These bungees, even if they're 48 inches long, can sometimes be a little short. Now this area here, because I use it for my classes, I picked it out deliberately because of the shape and size of it. But if we want to use this system, it's very easy. We just take and clip this in here like that, come around with this cam jam, snap it onto here, pull it, and there we have it. If I want to adjust the tension, I just pull this. So basically, again, what we have is we have this carabiner system here. We can loosen this. Okay, so all it does is we go around the tree, we hook it in like that, and then we just take the tag end and we pull it. Just pull it like that and it just locks in. This cam just locks in place, and if we want to tighten it here, we can just pull on this one. So either side is fully adjustable, and I've got plenty of cord left. So that means 8 feet here, 8 feet on the other side of the tarp, and the tarp itself is 8 feet. So if I'm anywhere within, say, 20 feet distance of 2 trees, I can put it up using this cam jam system. Alright, so here is our shelter. It's put up, it's done, and having it set up the way it is right now, I think I can put it up pretty quick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dismantle everything, roll it up, and then I'm going to time myself and see how fast it takes me to put it together. Okay, so we've got it all rolled up just like we pulled it out of our pack. We're going to start the stopwatch here and see how long it takes us to put this shelter up. Three minutes and 3 seconds. That's a fast shelter. I don't think you're going to get a whole lot quicker than that. Hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll be putting together some more and different kinds of shelter options later on. But one thing I want to show you before I sign off for the day is over here against this tree I've got a couple of Y sticks. Let's say you find that those military 3-piece tent poles are a little too bulky for you. You can just cut some Y sticks, shave this down so that it'll fit inside of the grommets on the tarp, and so you don't even have to bring any kind of sticks. You can always cut your own. Of course, you can't always find dead wood in exactly the right configuration. You don't want to be cutting down a bunch of green stuff. But I'll show you how this works. It's just exactly the same principle. Again, we put this out here, we just put the stick in the exact same place, and then we just lash around the top like so. And there we have our shelter using a stick instead of a Army tent pole. This is James Bender for Waypoint Survival. Please like, share, and subscribe. And make sure and press the bell button to stay notified of all of our upcoming videos, and we'll talk to you next time.